Our last but not least subtraction strategy is called make easier numbers. You might also see make easier numbers named as compensation. So you'll need the page that says make easier numbers or compensation to complete this lesson. So making easier numbers is exactly what it sounds like. Using the problem 16 minus 5, I'm thinking in my head, I don't really know my 16 subtraction facts that well, but what number is 16 close to that I do know better or that's easier to work with? And my answer was 15. How do I get from 16 to 15? I subtract 1. So 16 minus 1 equals 15. Now 15 minus 5 is a lot easier to do than 16 minus 5, right? Because when I subtract these 5s, I'm going to end up with a 0 in my 1's place. So 15 minus 5 equals 10. But that step you can't forget about is that because we subtracted 1 from 16, we then have to add it back onto the end when we finish this new subtraction problem, 15 minus 5 equals 10, because we have to compensate or balance or make up for the fact that we took 1 away here. So now we have to give it back before we write the answer to our problem. So 10 plus 1 is 11. 16 minus 5 equals 11. There are actually a few different ways that you can make sure that you compensate or make up for the numbers you're taking away or adding to make easier numbers. Here's another way. 19 minus 11 is not so easy for me to do, but I know that 19 is really close to 20. So another way that I can compensate is by adding 1 to 19 to make it 20, and then also adding 1 to my 11 to make it 12. So I balanced there because 20 minus 12 is the same distance between each other as 19 minus 11. And the answer to both of these problems is 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 8. So how I compensated there was by adding the same amount to both of these numbers, and I made my 19 into an easier number, 20. Here's one more way to do it. Instead of adding the same number, I subtracted the same number to keep my equation balanced. So my problem was 17 minus 7. I'm thinking, you know what? 17 is not really a number I feel like working with right now, but it's pretty close to 15. So if I want to get my 17 to 15, all I have to do is subtract 2. But I know that I have to keep my problem balanced and compensate for the 2 that I took away here. So I could take 2 away from my other number in the equation, my 7, and make this equation 15 minus 5, which is the same as 17 minus 7. Both of these answers are 10. Let's do one together from your packet. Your first question in this packet is 7 minus 5. So I'm thinking 7 is not really the easiest to work with, but you know what is? 5, and 7 is only 2 away from 5. So I'm going to subtract 2 and make that 5. But we know that there are a couple different ways that we can compensate for the fact that we took 2 away here. So one way you could compensate is by taking 2 away from this 5 and making this equation 5 minus 3. I also could have done 5 minus 5 and then added 3 back on at the end. But either way, my answer is 2. 5 minus 3 is 2. 7 minus 5 is 2. 2. Let's jump over to number 5, right across from number 1, and do that one together. Now I'm thinking 21 is not really a number I want to work with, but it's really close to 20. So I can get to 20 by subtracting 1. And that makes this number 20. One way I can compensate is by subtracting 1 from my 11 and doing 20 minus 10. That's pretty easy for me, right? 20 minus 10, I know right off the top of my head is 10, because I can count by tens. I also could have done 21 minus 11 by taking away 1 from the 20 again, or from the 21 again, and making that 20. Subtracting 11, which is a little trickier than 10, but we can still do it. It's 9. And then adding this 1 back on at the end. My answer would still be 10. Try using this strategy on the rest of the page. Happy subtracting!